Hi, my name is Yona. I'm the after school leader at Field Teen Center, and today I'm going to talk about Light It Up by Kekla Magoon, which I listened to as an audiobook on Libby. This is the companion to another book by the same author called How It Went Down. Both books are about a community called Underhill responding to police violence and have some of the same characters. I have not read How It Went Down, and I don't think it changed how much I enjoyed Light It Up. But if you read one, you will probably like the other. And definitely after reading Light It Up, I really want to go back and read How It Went Down. For now, I'm just going to talk about Light It Up because that's the one that I've read. This was a pretty heavy story, but I think a really important one. It's something that very easily could have taken place in the real world this year, but it is in fact fiction. At the very beginning of this story, a 13-year-old girl with special needs is shot by a white police officer. And of course, the girl is Black. And the community and a bunch of other characters who were involved respond to the event across the course of a couple days. Each chapter is one day or one night after the shooting and is broken up into many different character perspectives. So you get to see both the situation and what's happening from different perspectives, but you also get to see some of the characters from different perspectives because what they think about themselves might be different from what their neighbor thinks about them or their classmate. So some of the perspectives that are in this book include a friend of Shay, another young girl. Shay is the girl who was murdered at the beginning. So you get a friend of Shay, you get a bunch of the neighbors of different ages. There is a white cop who's involved in some of the protests that happened in response. The daughter of the officer who shot Shay. There are some college students nearby, both Black and white, some of them who are from Underhill, one of whom the white kid is not, but who's very interested in the situation, even though he doesn't know the appropriate ways to respond. There is a PR representative for the police who's Black and is juggling worrying about his son's safety and the community and his job, which is to make the police department look good. And just like in the real world, there are protests that happen in response to the incidents, and they're really intense, but also kind of exciting and inspirational. There are Twitter storms that go back and forth. Each chapter is separated by a news report and then a bunch of Twitter reactions. So not only do we see the way that these characters are responding as people and as individuals who we get to know really well, but we also get to see how the media responds, and we see how some of these narratives play out over and over again and how Black speakers are silenced during the programs. For example, there was one news bulletin that happens during the story where the host of this news program keeps using the word riot to describe a peaceful protest, and the speaker questions that and asks, well, why are you calling it a riot? Wasn't this a riot? Or was this a riot? Just pointing out the racialized context of that word in a way that felt interesting to the characters, but I think was also really educational. One of my favorite characters is the leader of a local gang, the Five Kings. And I mean, of course I liked this character. He's the tough on the outside, but goopy on the inside kind of guy. And you see him not only responding to these political events, but also responding to his community in other broader ways. So his sister is the friend of Shay. So she's another very young Black girl who's been affected by the shooting. And so he is involved in her life and the life of her caretaker. There are a couple women in his life that he's looking out for and failing to look out for and trying to do right by them while still being a gang leader. That's what he is. So there's definitely also some questionable activity in his life. And like all the other characters all around, I found him very human and whole and realistic. There are also some moments of lightness and joy because it's not just a story about dealing with grief, but it's also a story about how communities persist. And one of those ways is to find comfort in each other and to build connections with each other and sometimes even fall in love. I really recommend this book. I read it in small pieces to kind of process and sit with it because parts of it were really heavy because it's kind of what's happening in the news in real life too. But I thought that it made meaning and something interesting out of just all the feels. So if you're interested in learning more about police violence in the United States, this book is a really nice place to unpack some of those ideas and get some new perspectives, including from folks outside of the community and people who are connected to the officers in the shooting. So if you are interested in this book, if you've read this book, if you've read how it went down and you want to share your thoughts comparing the two, or you want to talk about your favorite character, get in touch with us. You can DM us. We're on Instagram, and we would love to hear from you.